Laura here. I'm back for another day of BookMas. So this is looking forward and looking backwards. So I'm going to kind of review what were my top 10 reads of the year last year. Was I successful? Was I not successful? I will admit I'm definitely changing this system because it's a little bit overwhelming for me because I just had massive lists everywhere. And at the end of the day, I was so overwhelmed. I didn't wind up reading a lot of them. At least I didn't think I did. So we're just going to kind of talk through them before I start my 2021 list, which will be structured a little bit differently. But you guys will see that in a future video. So my top 10 reads of the year that I wanted to read, there was 10 of them for just in general. And these I think were mostly science fiction and fantasy because I had two lists. So A Nobleman's Guide to Scandal and Shipwreck by Mackenzie Lee actually got pushed, so I couldn't read that because it didn't come out yet. Where Dreams Descend, I did read. Keepers of the Lost City's Legacy, I did read. Again, these books made my top reads of the year. Five Dark Fates, I did read and really liked. Again, it made my top reads of the year. Blood Witch, I still have not read, but I feel like I need to do a reread of the previous books in that series before I move on. Curses and Kisses, I did read, and I actually did like that one. That was actually a pleasant surprise. Kingdom of Back, I didn't. Queen's Assassin, I read, but I didn't like. Aurora Burning, I read and enjoyed. Incendiary, I didn't read. So I didn't read 1, 2, 3 out of 10, which sort of was okay. I really did try to complete this list, but Blood Witch I knew I wasn't going to finish. So now let's go to the contemporary reads that I was trying to tackle. I did read Instant Karma. I really liked Instant Karma. Not a lot of other people did, but I really liked it. I did read Chasing Lucky. I did read Lucky Caller. I did read Girl Save the World in this one, which I didn't love as much. We Used to Be Friends, I didn't wind up picking up, and I don't have a copy of it. Heroes, Hoth, and Heath Hall got switched to Moment of Truth, which I did read. Layoverland, I wound up DNFing. Yes, No, Maybe So, I did read, and Morgan Matson's book did not come out. So I think I did better on this one. The only one I didn't read was Layoverland and We Used to Be Friends, and I DNF'd Layoverland, so that's actually not that bad. But I will talk about my series videos later because that will be in my other video. But overall, I did okay. But I'm hopeful that my next year will be a little bit better and I will have a better system in place. But yeah, I did okay. So I would say out of 12 reads, I think out of 20 reads, I only didn't read 5 of them, which is not that bad. So I'm setting up my list a little bit differently this year. So what I'm doing is I'm doing 2021 reads I must read by the end of the year. I have 11 books on this list. They are a mix of genres. So I have an even balance of they're just books that are coming out this year. There's one sequel on this list, but everything else I think is a standalone or a start of a series. But there is one sequel because I really want to read it. But yeah. So, let's get into the first 2 physical books I have in my possession. They both come out in January. One is Lore by Alexandra Bracken. I actually am going to make this my first read of the year. This is a mythology-inspired, I think it's actually a standalone. People keep telling me it's a standalone, but I got this from the publisher, and I'm really excited. I read about 184 pages in. I think I'm definitely going to restart it in the new year, because when I was reading this, I was reading it and trying to rush read, and I don't want to do that. So this is actually going to be my first read of the year. I just finished the Percy Jackson series, and I'm kind of craving some more mythology reads. So this one is definitely the one that I'm going to add to my TBR. Also, another physical book I got sent from Simon & Schuster was Wings of Ebony by Wings of Ebony also comes out in January. In the previous clip, I tried to talk about it, but I got a little bit mixed up. But this is also a God-themed novel. But it also has an element of her existence, just her being there is a crime because that shouldn't happen. But she's in danger of falling in sway into the very forces that claim their mother's life. So I guess her mother died as well. But there's a plague Ruse must embrace her true identity and wield the future magnitude of her ancestral power to save her hood before the gods burn it to the ground. But how can you pull it off when the enemy is everywhere? That sounds cool. And this cover is stunning. So this is another one that's coming out in January that I hope to tackle in early 2021. And then the next book I am going to chat about is one that comes in much later. I don't even have like a cover. I just know according to the author that it's coming out in September. But it's Never Saw You Coming, which is by Erin Hahn, and it's the companion book to More Than Maybe, which is one of my favorite reads of the year. And this follows Veda's best friend. And if I'm remembering correctly, she is very religious and she winds up being connected with a boy who she never really predicted. I love her writing style. I'm so upset I have to wait until September for it, but I really am excited to read it and it sounds amazing. So the next book on this list is World Between Blanks by Amy Kaufman and Ryan Groudon, which is it's a new series starter for a middle grade series about time travel. But here's a picture. I said this at like the end of 2020. I was reading a lot of books that had to do with cousins. This is another book that has to do with cousins, but this one has to do with time travel, which I'm always here for. They go to their Nana's house. The cousins are preparing for an extraordinary trip of their own. Following a map their Nan left behind, Jack and Marisol sneak out of a nearby lighthouse to accidentally slip into another world. And the cousins find real mysteries of history and a few they thought were just myths, from pilot Amelia Earhart to the fabled city of Atlantis. But the man who holds the key journey home doesn't want to be found, and if the cousins don't catch him fast, they will end up being lost in the world forever. That sounds so cool. I really like time travel books, but sometimes they get a little bit convoluted, and I feel like the story doesn't always make a lot of sense. But I have faith in Ryan Groudon and Amy Kaufman together. They've both done time travel in their independent work. Like, Amy had it in the Illuminae files. Ryan wrote a whole book about it in, oh my goodness, I can't think of the name, but I could see the cover was her time travel book. So I have faith that together they will kind of do this. And cousins are always a fun element. I have like 25 cousins in my life, so whenever I see cousins, it's always like a standout element for me that I always want to get. So I'm really excited for this one and hope to read it in early 2021. The next book is not a shock to anybody because I became Cassie Clare trash this past year because I read almost all of her books last year, except for one series, but pretty much caught up. So Chain of Iron definitely had to make this list. If I do not finish 2021 by reading this list, I will be personally offended in myself, and you guys could be offended for me because I really want to read this book. So I will. I'm saying it on the internet, so it must happen, right? I don't want to talk too many spoilers, but this book was Chain of Gold was my top read of the year. If I had to choose one, definitely would have made that list, that one spot. But I really cannot wait to see these characters again. I need to know what happens to them. They left all their characters in very, very precarious locations. Makes me nervous as a reader. Have to get back to the world. Have to wait till March. Not sure how I feel about it, but Cassie Clare, you've done it again. So I have to read that one. And then another one is one by an author that I really liked in 2020, and his Twitter presence is amazing. And that is Aiden Thomas's next book, Lost in a Neverwood or Lost in the Everwood. I'll put the picture here and then I'll clarify myself. It is called Lost in the Neverwoods. But I actually talked about this in a bunch of my other videos, so I'm just going to give you guys a quick summary. When children start to go missing in the local woods, a teen girl must face her fears and past she can't remember to rescue them in this atmospheric YA novel, which I am totally here for. It comes out March 23rd. I will be there for it. I really like Cemetery Boys. This one sounds like it will be eerie and creepy and right up my alley, so I'm definitely checking this book out. And I'm probably going to pre-order it today. So I will talk about that in a later video. But yeah, definitely excited for this one. And then I decided to add a couple of contemporary reads to this list because they always get neglected. So the next one I'm going to add is What's Not to Love by Emily Weberly and Austin Sigma Broca, the writing duo that has given us If I'm Being Honest, Always Never Yours, Time of Our Lives. We have a new last year I loved Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, which was about like valedictorians competing at a competition. This sounds super similar, but it follows these two characters and they both are like very competitive. So it's M Enemies to Lover YA. Allison and Ethan, they want to go to Harvard. They are desperate to get their principal's like letter of recommendation, but the only way they can do that is they have to plan the previous class's 10-year reunion, and one of them I think will get that prize. They will get the letter of recommendation, I think that's what it said. But they have to work together, and that is not something they ever really want to do, and I'm sure it will lead enemies to lovers, but I'm really excited. I love their writing style. I think it's so fun, and their romances normally capture me, so I really hope that I enjoy this one. And this one comes out in, let me tell you the date, comes out in April, right in time for summer contemporary season for me personally, but I'm really excited to read this one as well. I'm going to talk about a couple of books that don't have covers yet, and I have talked about these in a couple of other videos, but 10 Truths and Dare by Ashley Elston is coming out in the summer. It is the companion book to 10 Blind Dates, which follows the crazy Italian big family, and Sophie's cousin, Olivia, is the main star of that one. It's set over spring break. I'm really excited to dive back in and see what shenanigans that family gets up to because they're so fun. Also, another one is Take Me Home Tonight by Morgan Matson, what comes out in July, which is a New York themed contemporary novel. It sounds so fun. I'm really excited for that one. Marissa Cantor's As If on Cue is coming out in September, and that is like a musical themed YA contemporary. The Pickup by Miranda Kennelly comes out in September, and that's about a road trip. And the only thriller I put on this list, which is actually a little bit surprising, is They'll Never Catch Us by Jessica Goodman. I think Jessica Goodman, which just comes out in July, I think. And this is a thriller about two sisters who are like, I think they're like volleyball stars, and something happens and they wind up having to go on the run, I guess. But those are the books that I don't have covers to, but they are on this list. And once covers are released, they'll probably do like a video. But those are the ones that come out later in the year. And again, with COVID times, we don't know if these dates are going to get pushed or whatever. But as of right now, they're supposed to come out in those months. So just wanted to shout them out. They are on my to read list. Really excited to get them. I just can't wait to get a little bit more information about them. So yeah. I have talked about this book in another video. I think it was in my fantasy and sci-fi books I'm going to be on the lookout for, but it's Blade of Secrets by Trisha Levasseur. This book comes out in May. I have loved every single one of Trisha Levasseur's books that I've actually read, but this involves a exciting new fantasy duology about a teenage blacksmith with social anxiety who is forced to go on the run to protect the world from the most powerful magical sword she's ever made. I actually have another like blacksmith themed book on my TBR, so maybe I'll do like a reading blog about it. It's called Forged in Fire and Stars by Andrea Kramer, which I got at ALA. But again, this one just sounds cool, and like I just like unique professions or unique ways to do a fantasy novel, and this one definitely fits that bill. So really excited for it. Comes out in May. We'll definitely be picking it up. The next book I'm going to chat about is Some Girls Do by Jennifer Dugan, which is coming out in May, which is the same author that wrote Verona Comics, which I really loved in 2020 and was made my top reads of the year list. But here's a pretty picture. This cover is actually very, very, very pretty. Another like fun summer contemporary, but with a little bit of a twist. It's an LGBTQ based story. It follows these two characters. I'll try to find the summary. Which is an openly contemporary queer romance, but from the author of Hot Dog Girl, about an openly gay track star falls for the closeted bisexual teen beauty queen What a Pachandans for fixing old cars, and I think they both have to come outside their comfort zone a little bit in this romance. It sounds great, the cover's pretty, and I really am excited for more representation in my contemporary read. So this is super exciting, and I'm really excited to read it, and it comes out in May. So definitely a summer contemporary that I will be checking out this summer for sure. Then the last book I'm going to chat about in this video is We Can't Keep Meeting Like This by Rachel Lynn Solomon, who wrote Today, Tonight, Tomorrow in 2020, and I'm really excited for this one. Here's a pretty picture. I have talked about this in a bunch of my other videos, but it is coming out the June 1st, I think. And the summary is just super simple. It's a wedding hapless delusion with love and a hopeless romantic cater, waiter, flirt, and fight their way through a summer of weddings in this effervescent romantic comedy from the acclaimed author of Today, Tonight, Tomorrow. And I am really excited for this one. It's definitely more of a lighter contemporary, but I feel like it will have like an emotional twist like Today, Tonight, Tomorrow did, and I definitely have to check out Rachel Lynn Solomon's backlist. But let me know in the comments what are some of the 2020 releases that you want to read by the end of the year. I did try to have a balance between some contemporary, some romance, some drama. Again, there's a lot of books I want to read, but these are just the one that I know I will try to read by the end of the year. But yeah, there's a nice balance. And then we're going to get into like the next video you guys will see is my backlist books that I want to read in 2021, which is always the challenge one to get read. So we will see how successful I am. But I'll talk to you guys tomorrow for my next video. Bye guys.